Girl Plans, and I am back with another video. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you will be notified every time I post a new video. If you have not been following, I just recently passed the FAR section of the CPA in November. I took the test on November 11th. I found out my score on November 21st and I passed with a 78. So in this video, I'll pretty much just be going over what I did to get a score of a 78 on the exam. Believe it or not, I initially started studying at the beginning of December of 2018, the beginning of January 2019. Yes, I had been studying for about 11 to 12 months just on the FAR section. So I don't make New Year's resolutions, I actually make goals. And one of my goals at the beginning of 2019 was to at least pass 3 parts of the CPA exam. Life happened, things changed. February and March rolled around and I realized that I was not living up to my word that I gave myself for 2019, which was consistency. I believe the #1 rule when studying for this exam and pretty much anything that you do is to continue to be consistent. So what I do is evaluate my goals every quarter to see what it is that I need to work on or to see what I actually accomplished in that particular quarter. And at the end of Q1, I realized that I was not set to pass at least 3 parts of the CPA exam. So needless to say, I had to reevaluate my goals. In March, I reached out to a fellow Instagrammer. She had actually shared her study schedule with her followers, so I reached out to her and she actually shared her study schedule with me. Of course, I had to revamp it to fit it into my schedule that I have, but it's a pretty easy schedule to follow, so it really didn't take much time. I shared it in my how I'm studying for audit video, but I also shared the paper version with you guys since I have it here. So I don't know. Yeah, there we go. You guys can see this. This is how I made my schedule. As you can see, I blocked out the dates for when I wanted to take a break or when I was actually doing something on the weekends or vacation in my case. And then here is the second section. Here's the second part of it here. As you can see, I made dates for my practice exam and final reviews there. So that was pretty much an easy thing to follow. What I would do is I would just mark it out as the days go by. Okay, I finished F1 lectures, I finished F1 multiple choice questions, and so on and so on. That way I knew that I was on task or in my case off, which you guys found out in a little bit. But after she sent me her schedule, I was pretty much on a ball. I honestly hit the ground running. Like, I have to do this, I have to pass, I have to at least take 1 exam this year. So my routine was I would listen to Roger's lectures. After lectures, I would write notes on what I had already written down in the book and what Roger had pretty much deemed important. After that, I would answer multiple choice and task-based simulations, and then I would do the multiple choice and task-based simulations until I was comfortable with the chapter and I hit the targets that Roger suggests on his SMART path. For those of you who do not have Roger, I will insert a snippet probably right down here of what the SMART path targets actually look like. And believe it or not, I felt like the routine that I had was taking forever. I was no longer on schedule with the schedule that I had made. Notes were taking days and days and days for me to write, and at the point I was just over it. I was just like, something has to give. So my notes were pretty intense, and it's ridiculous at how intense they are, but I gain a lot of information from note taking. Like, I have to write it down in order for me to pretty much remember it. So I'm just gonna show you guys. So I have this little flimsy binder from Walmart, I believe, and these are pretty much, this is not even half of the book, but it's so flimsy I can't even show you guys. But all of these are notes from Roger, just from Roger, and they're highlighted colors and everything to actually make me want to go back and read them. But a lot of times I actually didn't even go back and read my notes. So I had to come up with something completely different, something that was gonna actually keep me on task to make sure that when I scheduled my test, I was actually going to be ready. So I went online and read some forums. Two forums that I am a part of is another71.com and Reddit. I actually read the discussions that were pretty much based on people's study routines. What did they do to study, or what did they do to pass? So after reading a good amount of discussions, I came up with another plan. I started completely over in July from section 1. I did not listen to every single lecture that I had listened to previously, but I sat down and I answered the multiple choice questions in the simulations. After I completed the multiple choice questions in the task-based simulations, then I would write notes. I would only take notes on the questions that I got wrong and the questions that I guessed on but I actually got right. This cut down my note-taking time tremendously. As I was going through the new questions, I decided to listen to Roger's lectures at 1.5 times the speed. This also sped up the process to keep myself on track for my potential test date. And then, of course, after I listened to the lectures, I would answer the multiple choice and the MCQs, and then I would take notes based on what I got wrong or what I actually guessed on. Now, if I did not understand the question, I would actually go on YouTube and listen to, I believe his name is FAR lectures. He has a YouTube channel and his lectures, they're amazing. They're short, simple, and to the point. And I honestly believe that that helped me out a lot. I also found another guy on YouTube, and his YouTube channel is at Spera, I believe. I'm gonna link both of their accounts here on top so that if you are having trouble grasping the information, definitely check those guys out. Also, at some point, I felt like that I was memorizing the answers to the questions, and I didn't feel as though it was beneficial because they're going to be totally new questions on the exam, and if I'm memorizing these, then I'm going to fail because it's no way anything is going to be the same. So I did some more research, and I decided to purchase Ninja as a supplement in September. And I have to tell you guys that that is the best $67 a month that I've ever spent. Once I purchased Ninja, instead of going back and answering Roger's questions when I got those wrong, I would just go over to Ninja and answer questions from that section on the Ninja's website. This helped me out a lot because there were so many different questions that Ninja had that Roger didn't have, and I also felt that Ninja's questions were a little bit more intense as well. They made me think a little bit more, and I honestly appreciated that because I don't believe that the questions on the test were as hard based on Ninja's multiple choice questions. At this point, I was about 75% done with Roger's lectures, so I decided to schedule my exam. When I tell you guys that I had so much anxiety just hitting the submit button, it was so bad because at that point, I'm like, there's no way that I can F up now. Like, yes, you can reschedule your exam, but that isn't even something that I wanted to do because I had been on this section for so long. I just wanted to get it over with. So I had so much anxiety scheduling this exam. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna schedule the exam, and from there I have to push 10 times harder than what I was already doing. So before I scheduled the exam, I looked back at my study schedule to see where I was. I revamped it I think one last time, so that I had about 2 to 3 weeks of final review, and I also wanted to take it before I went on vacation. So my exam date was November 11th. I believe from that point I had a little less than 2 months to get my stuff together so that I could pass this exam. So after I clicked that submit button, I swear that I studied every minute of the day. There's not a day that didn't go by that I did not study, that I just looked over my notes, that I answered maybe just 5 multiple choice questions. I did something related to the CPA exam every single day. Even if it was listening to lectures on YouTube, I made sure that I did something to keep my brain going, to help me to continuously retain the information and to understand the information. One more thing that I didn't mention, I don't believe, in any of my videos, is that I deleted all social media off my phone for about 2 months. One morning I woke up, and instead of getting up and studying, I scrolled on Facebook and Instagram until it was time for me to get ready for work. And after I got up and I was on my way to work, I was so disappointed in myself because I wasted about an hour and a half. At that point, I was just like, it has to go, because I need to focus, and having the social media on my phone, it honestly was not going to help me pass the CPA exam. Yes, there's a lot of people that I follow who are studying for the CPA as well, and we gave each other motivation. But I also had motivational apps on my phone where I got sent motivational quotes every single day that I wrote down in my daily planner. At that point, I was just like, I don't need Instagram, I don't need Facebook. I just need my phone for my calculator and to talk to my family and my friends, and that was it. So for those 2 months, no social media, no games, no nothing. If I opened up an app, it was to either read a forum related to the CPA exam, to listen to lectures on Roger's CPA app, or even to just answer questions. And that was completely it. But anyways, so now that that run is over, we can go back to our regular scheduled programming. So even though my exam was scheduled, I was not actually done with his lectures. I would still listen to his lectures during the weekdays, answer those multiple choice questions, and do those notes. And then on the weekends, every single weekend was dedicated to just the multiple choice questions as a whole. I would use Ninja on the weekends, just answering random multiple choice questions. It didn't matter if I had not reviewed the material or if I reviewed the material too much. I just randomized it every single time. Ninja is actually broken down in so many topics and subtopics that you actually have to go through and click each section you want to answer questions for. And I honestly felt like that was time consuming, because you had topic A, and then in topic A you had 10 subtopics. So it's like, okay, I want this topic and this topic, and then you had to go to topic B, and then 25 subtopics, and you had to click on the ones that you want. So at that point, I'm like, I'm just gonna randomize it. If I know that I hadn't went over that lecture yet, then I would just give it my best. After I was completely done with lectures, multiple choice questions, and notes, it was time for my review phase. I left myself about 2.5 weeks, I believe, to just strictly review. And the first thing that I did was I rewrote the Ninja notes that Jeff provides you all. The guy that started Ninja, his name is Jeff, by the way, if you didn't know. So I actually got my notes printed at Staples. I'm kind of old school. I don't like reading on screens. I don't like Kindles. I don't like reading on my phone. I like paper. So I went through and rewrote these notes. Luckily, the notes that he had, they aren't full sentences. So it was pretty easy. See if you guys can see that. So it was pretty easy to rewrite these notes. It was a bit time consuming, but I would definitely say that it was worth it. From there, after I rewrote the notes, I would just answer multiple choice questions every single day. I will say that I answered maybe 2 to 4 sets of 30 multiple choice questions. I do work full time, so I can only dedicate but so much time to studying, so I would do that in the morning, and if I didn't finish all my sets in the morning, then I would come back home and I would study for an hour and a half in the evenings. So 1 week before my test is when I took my first practice exam. I think that I received, it was in the high 60s. I want to say it was in the high 60s for my first practice exam. And then after I took that practice exam for my last few days of studying, I went back to Roger and I answered 10 multiple choice questions for each section. I believe that Roger has about 32 or 33 sections. So I went back and I answered 10 multiple choice questions for each section, and any section that I received below a 70, I would review the lecture in Roger's cram course, or if I didn't want to sit through those, then I would just go on YouTube and watch Farhart's lectures. This gave me a little boost of confidence knowing that I was able to retain a lot more information than I thought I had in the very beginning. And then a day or two before my test, I took another practice exam, which I scored, I believe, a low 70. If you want to know my exact scores on my practice exams, I will throw the link back up here on how I prepared for FAR. That video has both of my scores, my first practice exam and my second practice exam. Now, if you do not have Roger but you're thinking about getting it, with his new platform, they do not provide the practice exams anymore. I don't know if they're going to bring them back, but as of right now, they're not there. I use the practice exams from Ninja, and it's not as similar to the exam as you would think, but if you want something to actually replicate the exam, then you can go to the FAR website and they actually have a sample test. I believe maybe 10 multiple choice questions, if that, and maybe a sim or 2. The sample test is what you will actually see on the exam, not the questions in particular, but the format of the test and how all of the technology is set up. 2 days before the exam, I rewrote Ninja Notes. The day before the exam, I read over the Ninja Notes twice. And then I made a little cheat sheet of things that I can review the morning of the test. I feel like that my brain works a lot better first thing in the morning, so I actually did schedule a 7:30 exam. I arrived at the test center 30 minutes early. That way I was able to review my cheat sheet a little more. I also called my grandmother, and my grandmother said a prayer for me before I went into the test. So that's my spiel on how I passed with the 78. I hope that this video helped you guys out a lot. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you will be notified every time I post a new video. Bye!